I'm waiting for suggestions from Mr. Keshe.
I can't hear Mr. Keshe. I wonder why that is.
Good morning, Rick. I'm listening.
Mr. Keshe, how are you?
Me okay. Let me just switch this thing off for the old thing. Tell me, what are we going to do today?
I don't know. You're gonna say I did fool around once and didn't get any results. Couldn't get the plasma activated, so
Can you go live? Can we see what you have?
yeah. Let me see what you can see here. Here is my reactor. Basically, let me clean this. These are all accessories. There is a magnet underneath. There is a jar inside and jar outside. And I try to activate it with the magnets. Inside there is a small motor to create the turbulence. And I spin the magnets, I add the gases. And nothing happened. I try to activate it through UV. This is one UV light for cleaning contact lenses. And I tried the other UV light, which is for EEPROM eraser. This one. I don't know if you can see it. And I also try with high voltage. I left the plasma ball on top of it. Electronics from the plasma ball and attach it to the tube. Mr. Keshe?
Can I ask you?
Yep.
How do you create vacuum in those jars without breaking them?
Vacuum is coming through the tubes here.
But what level do you achieve?
I don't know. My gauge goes to -30, but supposed to go on 10 on -4, the Liebold pump. I was running it like for 2 hours, so should be pretty good vacuum inside. And the good news is the vacuum holds for 24 hours, so there is no air leak or something.
Yeah, but how do you introduce the gases inside?
With I don't know if you can see it. There are the tubes with 3 centimeters and 5 centimeters. Here, I don't know if you can see.
Yeah, I know, but which gases do you have?
I have argon, helium, and hydrogen.
How do you introduce it?
First was argon, after that helium, and last hydrogen.
In what ratio?
About 50-50-50. Well, 30% each.
That is, wow, far. And how many centimeters?
I try first with the 3 centimeters, after that I add the 5 centimeters tube.
This is far too much. You don't have a vacuum. You have a full, what do you call it, cylinder with material. Did you clean up your system with the hydrogen first?
Yeah, I clean it 3 times with argon, 3 times with helium, and 4 times with hydrogen.
Have you ever achieved plasma before?
No.
Okay. The reason is very simple.
I haven't tried, like, I feel it once and play with it, and I stop there because I don't know what I'm doing. So.
Rick, what's your opinion?
Well, I'm of mixed opinion. It seems like we need to have something to initiate the reaction, let's say. And we've seen through the patent and so on that the possibility of rotating magnets, but yet we've also been told that the rotating magnets are not really the way to go. And so, on the other hand, we have the idea that we use these radioactive products to possibly initiate a reaction. But then we also have the idea that the newest reactors don't use radioactivity, but that is the latest state of the art, basically, and we're not sure how that works exactly. We haven't been told about that, I don't think. So what are we left with? Well, we might be able to create magnetic fields or some other thing to initiate it. It seems like it's going to need more than just the magnets, though, to get the hydrogen separated from the other things. It seems like we have to either rotate the core or spin it centrifugally, like injecting it with liquid helium, or scintillated liquid helium, for example. Would that make sense?
Actually, you're not far off correct.
Well,
Well, how far off? Could you be more exact, Mr. Keshe, please?
Let me put a couple of things on. We know two groups have achieved production of energy. They are working on it to increase the production. One group has used combination of two different systems to extract energy. The one which is without the material, without any radioactive material, it's just been completed, so it's going through test within the next 2 to 3 weeks. The centralization cannot be achieved with VU light, the way you showed me.
okay.
Ultraviolet does not create centralization. It does not have enough dynamic material inside it, or what we call as energy, to do the job. And secondly, when you use VU light outside the way you try to do with the machines, by the time this reaches the gases or plasma, it's already reduced quite a further down by crossing the glass.
Okay.
You need to introduce extreme ultraviolet, not ultraviolet. Ultraviolet has no power. X-ray is too strong. Extreme ultraviolet, which is called soft X-ray, is the only way you can initiate ionization and plasma, dynamic plasma in these situations. I was not expecting for you to achieve much with the system, but I learned a lot from you, the way you set up your system. The production of plasma, the way we see they do it in like a bulb and all that kind of thing, that is not actually a plasma. This is the gap between the atoms. You know, the way we see the bulb which Rick showed us last time, where you touch the ball, you see the lights going to the center that we see in the physics labs. This is not actually a plasma. This is the gap between the what you see as a line of connection is the energies which is available between the gap between atoms.
Can you hear me?
Or electrons. So that is a total misconception. They give you these balls and then you can create it. All you do, you create a condition that you bring the energy from different free electrons or atoms into concentration, and it's become known, as a plasma ball. There's no plasma in there.
Okay, so do you have any specific light bulb or something I can get and
The easiest way to do with a system like you have, first of all, you have too much matter.
okay.
You introduce too much in your system.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, I personally don't think you reach a high level of vacuum to start with, which is not really relevant, because the shape of your glass gives the indication you cannot go very high. Because if I use my vacuum pump, usually, depending on the thickness of the jar you use there, it usually smashes down. It literally cracks to pieces. But as we said, we need things like the way you do to learn some different things of it. So it's not to discourage, actually to encourage to try different methods.
Okay, so another two questions then. Does that motor inside the jar make some sense for
No,
creating a
that is
turbulence?
one of the reasons you are losing your plasma. What it is, when you put that motor inside, you introduce an external entity into it, which means it stops even the production of plasma.
Interference. Totally lost the audio.
Rick?
Hi, Rick, we can hear you.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, can you mute your microphone by the time you're working there?
We're having trouble. People are trying to get onto the Skype call. There's Lady Dragon and Desiree tried to get on as well, and she was.
Tell Desiree to go to sleep. It's too early for her.
Desiree, I don't have her on the
He wanted
list.
to get on anyways, and I was supposed to arrange that apparently. I thought she was already connected with Ludmil, but she wasn't, and she had to send an invite and all that stuff.
I can add Lady Dragon, but I don't have Desiree in my list, so.
Okay, and then there was it Nemo, Lady Dragon?
Okay, she show up now
I think she wanted
in
to.
my list.
Well, pardon me?
Right?
Okay.
Hello?
Okay, she's off.
We're going to solve this problem in next couple of days. Hopefully
Hello,
with the next session.
Mr. Keshe?
Hello, Lady Dragon.
How are
Okay.
you, mister?
Good morning. Good morning. We're trying to sort the things out. Good morning, Desiree. Oh, she's off. We're
Ludmil,
trying.
can you invite
Yeah.
Nima as well, please?
Who?
Nima? Nemo? Safari? In your thingy, remember?
Let me see.
You should have like two pending there, Desiree and Nemo, I guess is.
Okay, here we go. Thank you.
Nemo is on.
He's
Desiree
my
is still.
assistant, Mr. Keshe, Nima. He's my assistant.
Okay, so going back to the system, is this gonna work with the external magnets under the system?
We have tried external
Like
magnets.
I have them under. I don't know if you can see it.
From our experience, from our tests, about 4 years ago, if I remember correctly, the external magnets only affects the shape of the plasma to a very small degree.
Right.
You can pull a plasma to certain direction using external magnets, or you can use magnets in a specific configuration to confine the plasma to certain points of the reactor.
Okay.
Does it also in initiating the reaction?
No, you cannot do, because magnets by their nature are matter-based strength.
And that's that black hole effect that you were talking about before. It sucks the plasma energy or the formation of the plasma away. Is that correct?
In so many ways, yeah. You shouldn't have any external part like a motor or whatever in the reactors. That's a no-go as far as we know, unless somebody comes up. There is a way we are introducing a new type of reactor where we introduce effect of external parts in a specific form for the system to be external part or internal part, but we treat it in a way that it becomes part of the reactor. So you don't introduce matter into the environment. When, as far as our tests show, when you introduce like a motor inside, possibility of creating a plasma in a condition to achieve gravity is zero. Very much zero.
Okay. Only gravity or anything else?
Even energy. I mean, if you remember last time, Rick had the centralization through the pipe, which I've seen you put on the net on one of the videos, you show it. How do you achieve that kind of plasma, Rick?
I just do that with high voltage using an automotive coil. It's probably in the range of 40 to 50,000 volts. And you can attach onto any of the brass fittings on the hose, and then anywhere else basically along the hose, you can put it onto another brass fitting, and the pump itself acts as a ground actually. So all you need is one solid connection onto a fitting that's involved with the hose, and it'll naturally tend to light up the vacuum part of the hose. So it can be directed that way. But that's a lot of voltage. You could probably be done with, actually we've done it with less voltage, somewhere around probably 6 to 12,000 volts with the little power supply for the plasma globes.
Can you create such a condition, Ludmil?
With a plasma globe?
No, with the way Rick is talking about.
Yeah, I can, yeah. I need to make some changes to the setup, but yeah, I can. I have the coil, I have the capacitor, I have the dimmer.
Yeah.
You could also use the power supply for your little plasma globe. 4 screws and it comes out kind of deal to...
Yeah, I tried to use it, attaching it to one of the pipes, but it didn't work also.
Can we go back to you, Rick, if you have it there to show him?
Okay, we'll rig that up here. Okay.
When you go live, we don't see you?
Sure, we're going to have to... Yeah, I'm going to hook in my video next here. There we go. Closer here now. Okay, are we ready with the pump? I'm going to put the pump outside, please, and get that all ready to go.
Sure, can you show him the connection?
Okay.
Yeah, we were playing with the connection yesterday again.
As far as the connection on the pipe, you mean?
Yeah, how you create a plasma shape you showed.
Okay, well, for that, I'm going to plug this guy. This is our setup here. It's
a nice cheese board.
Yeah, this is our breadboard. See, it's a breadboard. I like that. So we have a capacitor here, and that's out of a microwave. We have a coil out of an automotive 4-cylinder. Got just a regular switch, off-on switch with a light to let us know the power's on, and a dimmer switch. And then the whole thing just plugs into regular household voltage. And we have the 2 high voltage leads coming out of the coil here that we can attach to our apparatus. And I don't need a ground this way. For some reason, these 2 high voltage leads can spark between them quite well, better than from high voltage to ground. So that's what we've been using. Okay, so we just have to hook this up. Do you want to plug it in? Yeah. And hook this guy.
Keshe, it's Vince here. I was just wondering, have you been able to create any sort of plasma with high voltage?
I don't use high voltage. I don't use these kind of things.
Yeah. I think that's what will work like.
So is it any lamp or something which I can get on the market to try to achieve
you can produce materials yourself to achieve and create ultraviolets and extreme ultraviolet, which leads to creation of dynamic plasmas. You don't need, actually you don't need this power supply, which I see Rick is setting up. We don't use that. I never use the power supply because in a nuclear structure, you have a more powerful supply than this available in your reactor. So it's very interesting to see how he creates a plasma, because it's a different way of doing it. Because there is a misconception, and I see it in a lot of forums and things, that the light you see as the energy of a plasma, which is actually you don't see the plasma. The light shows the motion of the energy releases on the boundary of the atoms, and they call it a plasma. So what you create in reality is not a plasma, and the light you show is the energy released from atomic structure, not even nuclear structure.
So could you say that doing it like this with high voltage is like having a field go through the actual magnetic field, so it reconnects on both sides, so it's like it's not even there? Goes around the atoms that way?
Not even there.
Not even there.
What? No, this is something which we try to bring into attention. You've seen the guy who shows the glow of plasma, he calls it. You can't see the plasma. It's just you see the energy fields on the boundary through the motion of what I call a small magnetic field. So they put light into it and they show that residual energy.
Right. The only time there should be light is when there's an interference between a magnetic or a plasma that's created in the Earth.
Exactly. Kind of thing. That's exactly correct. This is exactly where you're correct.
So
you see, in the book number 4, which is coming out, I explain the creation of light from the stars.
27.
Well, that's pretty interesting, because I have a theory because of your theory on that as well.
Yeah, no, because it's in the book number 4. It's getting published very soon. Hopefully, when we get a chance to put pictures on it.
Can you give us a hint? Is it? I think of it like a principal star inside of a heliosphere. Is that kind of what I'm thinking of?
No, it is not. It's the center of the star, like its own magnetic gravitational field.
Yes.
And then you have, on the outer surface, you have again a dynamic ocean of plasma, monomaterial, more or less. which is the hydrogen, and the plasma.
So it's already creating its own difference then.
The action of the magnetic field of the hydrogen and the plasma on the surface with the gravitational magnetic field in the center creates the light.
So
The
does it
light on the
receive,
surface of the stars is not on its own.
but it also receives from the galactic center principal waves as well, right? And interacts with them on the outside of our solar system then?
That is a different thing. That's like what we call bright lights in the sky. Because the gravitational magnetic field of our solar system interacts with the universe galaxy gravitational magnetic field, and that creates its own light.
Can you see anything there?
We see a red light somewhere. I think that's your switch.
Oh yeah, that needs to get blocked too. Okay.
So
what
what
is
is trying? I explained to you that the light from the stars is in reality what is the interaction of their gravitational magnetic field on the outer shell and the star itself internally. So the reason it's in the book, I explained the reason we see the Earth as blue is not because of what they say is the color of the sky, or it's actually due to interaction of the gases and the plasmas which are at the boundary edge of the Earth with the interaction of the magnetic gravitational field which is in the center of the Earth.
So that would, some of these people have theories that the sun is hollow, but that's only because they can't see it because it's in principal or transition energy?
No, it's not hollow. It's a matter. It's a dynamic liquid. It's a dynamic
so
material.
it is matter. It's not in the transitional or principal state.
You have what we call principle as the highest strength.
Yeah.
The misconception in the world of physics is that just a second.
so what's the
Let me explain something. The same as you have a centrifuge condition where in a vacuum condition the hydrogen sits in the center and then you have a helium and then argon.
Yeah.
The same principle sits with magnetic fields. What this means is that principal matter, the strongest field, goes in the center due to its what we call, like, you know, when you're heavier, you go to the bottom.
Yeah.
And then from there on, it radiates outwards. So you always have the matter transition all the time available. But the matter in the very center constantly gets absorbed into the transition and in the principal strength. So in the center of the planet,
Okay.
you always have the what you call principal matter.
But it's
This
switching
is why
states, correct?
Pardon?
It's switching states between matter, transitional, and principal matter?
No, it goes. It doesn't switch. It actually reduces. It's exactly the how I explained the situation with a hot cup of tea, where as you go away from the cup, it reduces its energy and you don't feel it. The same way, the principal matter in the center, as it radiates out, it becomes transition and it becomes matter.
Okay.
But one of the concepts and principles is that because even the principal center itself, the principal energy source, has a spectrum of magnetic field strength, the lower strength of the principle before it becomes transition, before it actually separates from the source, becomes matter faster than the stronger one, which they become matter further out.
Okay, I think I understand.
So in a way, if you enlarge it, you have the sun, some of the plasma which leaves the surface of the sun, because they are of the weaker strength, they become matter around, let's say, Venus, by the time they interact with other bits. So they create the cosmic dust near Venus environment.
So that means that the full spectrum of all the transition and principle is being radiated out, correct?
Continuously, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
So the stronger ones, which can go further, they become solar dust around the Earth or further back. And the ones which are of the higher strength, they solidify on the edge of the heliosphere.
Yeah, the Oort cloud,
and
correct?
They create the cloud shape. Exactly what happens with Earth. This is in book number 4. I've explained this very clearly. So exactly like the Earth, when we see the water vapor evaporates from the surface of the sea, we don't see it because it's too light. As it goes further up and it cools down, it becomes matter. We see it as clouds. The same process happens in the solar system.
But the same process would happen with the Earth then too, correct?
That's correct. That's why we have it.
So then,
are you reaching plasma or is it a light? Rick, just sorry about that. I see a blue light on the left-hand side at the bottom.
Can you see it now?
No, it was there. It's disappeared. It was on the left of the red light.
I'm trying to set up my... You should be able to...
There's something there now.
Hose now.
Oh, there's a valve in the way, so there's a gap in the hose. Can you see there's two sort of areas there?
Yeah.
Sort of holding it.
So how do you create? You connect those two lines to either side of the pipe?
I don't have to connect to either side. In this case, I'm just using one of the lines, and it's able to do this. Actually, if I hook up the other one to this little coil here, it'll probably light up much brighter. Let me try that. Give me a light for a second there.
So what's the way I can achieve plasma there?
I think you got to move the motor out.
Okay, that's one thing.
Secondly, we did a trial in Tehran a few years ago, where we built in copper wires into the base of the system.
Okay.
Where the wire doesn't become part of the structure, that it touches the plasma or the internal part of the cylinder, but allows the creation of the condition to absorb energy from the reactor. This is a very specific, because you can burn out your system very rapidly if you don't know what you're doing. And you can literally create a lot of damage. I can see two lights.
Right, now it's lit up a little better because I've got the high voltage on either side of the hose, basically. So it's...
Can you extend this into your reactor, in your core?
Well, it somewhat does in some of the experiments. The plasma will be purple inside of the reactor, and it is going up inside the reactor, somewhat down the pipe on the other side of the high voltage. In fact, what we can do is hook up the high voltage, give some light there to the top, and you'll probably see the whole. Well, who knows what you'll see? Let's try it and find out here. Let's go the other way around. You hook this guy up.
So basically, what kind of voltage and frequency or
Here.
modulation you give to this wire in order to run the plasma?
Well, it's just through.
No, I was talking about Mr. Keshe. He mentioned
You know, the way I see you're creating with currents and voltages, high voltages plasma, is exactly opposite to what we do. We drain through this system the plasma.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
The reason why
You
you
understand?
Mr. Cash, you can burn up your system because if you take too much from it, you are overheating it. Is that?
No.
No?
Contrary, totally opposite. When you start draining or you start extracting energy, if you do not control your system through certain structure parameters, you can create a plasma and directly drain or get access to the principal energy in the center of the plasma. So you get a surge. You get a surge of magnetic fields which go through your system. I have burned system through this way.
Well, at the moment, I'm not trying to collect any energy or anything. That's gonna come later on. I'm trying just to.
Let me explain something, because I think this will bring a lot of new insight to the people who are trying to set systems like this up. Let me explain very clearly. You are trying to use the present understanding of creation of energy. In fact, with what you're doing, you're not very short much of a spark plug.
Yes.
You're creating a different spark plug. In the universe, there is no spark plug. In the universal system like stars, you open a plasma. And I see a lot of people read and they talk about centralization. Centralization is for separation of two plasmas and nothing else. Once you created the separation, you have to create an environment where you can get into the plasma dynamic system. And this thing doesn't need these high voltages and the things I see you create. The misconception is very strong, and I think people misunderstood because of the way we've been taught physics, that I use radioactive material to start the plasma. No. Soft X-ray is used for ionization. What does ionization mean? It means separating different packages of energy. And then once you separate it, you have to isolate which one you need. Do you need a stronger one, which is the electron package, or do you need the proton package? And these things, like what I see you show with the high voltage and the light you see, you're just showing the energy in between the electrons and protons and atoms, which are freely to move. And this is not a plasma. You don't create an open plasma. This is a total misconception in the world of physics, and you clearly show it. What this means, in a very simple way, you are introducing high voltage to show a light energy amongst and between the atoms and protons and electrons. You have not shown me anything to show the opening of a plasma. Let me explain very simple. You have a craft that can fly in space. You are traveling between solar systems. You haven't got into a solar system, into a plasma. And you're showing the energy between solar systems. And when they crash, you see the light. Or when you manage to realign them, you see the light. What you're doing with the showing of even what I've seen on the internet, showing lights from the plasma, these are not lights, these are not from plasma. Plasma has no light inside it. This is what a lot of people don't understand, or we cannot clear this point somehow, that when we speak about the plasma technology, we speak about when you get into a solar system. And I haven't seen anybody showing how to get inside the solar system. With your infrared, with your ultraviolet, you show that you manage to separate the packages from each other. And you are showing the energy between the packages, energy flow between the packages. The package is an electron or a proton or protons and neutrons. But nobody has shown the use of plasma. You are still playing with the matter level, and things like this, the presentations like today and before, it's good to carry this information across. That do not, or I do not consider you create a vehicle to create separation and show partially some of the separation energy, but you haven't shown energy of a plasma, or you haven't got into a solar system. You're just still outside it.
So what's the way to register that plasma?
To register the plasma, or to what you call register, what I call extracting
see it or whatever, like what's the way we are sure that there is an activated plasma inside?
You have to change the materials of the reactor. In a material level, to you, there is a glass, or in the other reactors we see material. You have to change these materials to a space level, and I haven't seen anybody doing it. There is Iranian scientists have managed to do it, because the head of Iranian space was a scientist who works in that level. They understood and they understand these new materials. I know, and I'm fair amounts of knowledge I have. Nobody has managed to understand this concept, and this is why everybody says our systems don't work. The systems work very perfectly because we have learned how to fly into the space of a solar system, what you call a plasma. And once you get in, you have enough energy to create different dynamic sizes. As I was explaining earlier on to Vince, you can go near the star, like the sun, and create a higher gravitational magnetic field, or you can go to the boundary and create a lower one. This I think this morning talk, it's if people who listen to it now or in the future, or you put it on the net, it's one of the most important presentations and talks we ever give. If you understood what I said in past 5 or 10 minutes, the whole concept of creating, and I've seen the guy showing a plasma on internet, he's created this and that. This is all rubbish. Nobody has shown us how to open a plasma the way we do. You have to create steps. Step 1 is you set up your reactor. Step 2, you create vacuum. Step 3, you create ionization. Up to now, you showed me ionization in a very small way. Rick has done in different ways. Nobody has gone to step 4, which is entering the plasma yet, except the Iranians. Iranians have understood it and using it, utilizing it very directly. And that's why we see such an advanced spaceship program with them. Partially they understand what they are doing, partially they've done it through experience. So up to now, even with the plasma, you show me the lights, you're showing only energy across the boundary of the packages. You have not entered it. You have to find a way. We are not going to spoon feed everybody. The scientists have to develop the ways that separation is shown. Sometimes you can use this energy between the plasmas to create gravity and release of energy. That's why you need input. That's why you need energy. That's why you need these power supplies to create, to show light. But what you're showing, you don't show plasma. You literally put a torch in a dark room where you before have hung a lot of fluorescent tubes. You know, the ones you see in the dark. With these voltages you put in your reactors, you just show where these lines are. Where did you hang the fluorescent, material? The simple way I can explain is the same, again, going back to interaction of gravitational magnetic field of the sun, interacting with gravitational magnetic field of the earth. Where they interact, we see the daylight. That's where the light is. The energy and the lights you show as plasma is the same thing, but it's between the atoms and protons and electrons. When you see light in this way, in a concentrated way, you are not showing a plasma. You haven't entered the plasma. You are still playing with the boundaries of the plasma. So the next step is don't look at X-rays and gamma rays as a way of creating plasma. I have not seen anybody yet, anywhere, even on the internet. They talk about the plasma, but their plasma is not the way the plasma is in the universe. You have now to go a step further and find a way how to get in. It's like us being outside the Mars. We try to get in, we send aircraft or whatever the craft they send. You see it, you think it's there, but getting it in and landing on it is totally different matter. Now is the time to, once now you understand how to separate it, find a way to get in. And once you get in, energy and gravitational field strength is your oyster. You can do what you like.
So basically, we're just trying to find a way to ionize the packages.
Yes, that's all. And that's all I see with everything which shows here. So
you're not going to give us a little bit of a hint?
Would a couple of words, would graphene be a hint? Would that be part of it?
You look at the universe. Look at the structure of your own body. If the universe is too far, look inside you. Then you see how we produce energy to run our daily life, how our body creates energy that we consume to move. Always look inside, you will see the light. Don't try to do this. I think today's talk, as I said before, is one of the most fundamental points in the production of energy and gravity and anything else. Whatever you've shown us, I sit, I learn, I listen, but nobody has shown us a process of entering. Nobody has come up with Apollo to land on the moon yet.
We're still in the shuttle.
We're still in the shuttle.
Still in kindergarten before.
Well, I'm not even trying to do that because I don't know if I have open plasma inside or not.
Maybe you
After-
get, Ludmil, maybe you get to it much faster than the others. Because there are different ways. I gave a lecture to some scientists very recently. I say, creating or entering a plasma is like a man with a coat in the winter outside. You have to take layers by layers off before you get inside and jump in the swimming pool or in the pool or in the bath. So some people jump in with the clothes, and some people take a jacket off, then the shirt off, then the underwear off before they go in. And what I see, a lot of people are taking their coats off. They haven't got into the shirt yet. Because once you enter plasma, then a new world opens up. Then you have to interact and understand the interaction between different fields, how you create matter in the plasma, how you use fields in motion, what you call energy, to create different magnetic fields. So this is what we say in one reactor. You can have your gravitational field on the boundary, create the matter which you need, and internally create the next condition for the next step, what you want to produce. And at the same time, the same field will give you your energy and your gravity. So you don't need a system to create 3 or 4 different conditions. The brain of the human being does the same. I don't know if you heard some of the talks I give. We never see blood inside the brain structure. All the blood vessels are at the boundary. We don't see blood flow through the brain structure at all. So how does all this energy and information goes across this system without ever losing its track? The blood releases its gravitational magnetic field, which is absorbed from the lung, and each part of the brain takes the energy it needs from it to do the function. That's why you see different softness of a structure in the brain. Because if it was all the same material, it would have had no effect. That's why you don't see muscle tissue in the brain. You only see a slight deviation in the structure of the material. And that deviation is not there. I never said this is the consciousness, this is the where it controls the motion. The density of the same material dictates what energy is absorbed from the plasma of the blood. The same thing converted back into in your system. Then you see you can enter plasma like water.
So is it like reverse then of the sun? So the strongest particles are on the top or the outside of the brain, and the inside is where the strongest fields go?
Yes, exactly. This is the misconception in the world of medicine, because I gave a lecture in the center about the lung and the blood. This is not being released yet. There are about 100 people present, a lot of doctors. And I explained the same thing, that there is a misconception that we breathe oxygen to live. No oxygen ever crosses the lung, the wall of a lung. This lecture we're going to very soon release and load it up on the internet for people to see. This is a misconception in the world of medicine. This is exactly the way we said the Earth was the center of the universe.
And that's why there's still mysteries in that area.
Yes, because what happens is exactly what you're trying to achieve in your reactors. What happens in the lung? Why do we breathe oxygen, we say, and we give carbon CO2 back?
Because it
Very
takes a certain
simple.
fields. It takes certain fields.
No.
You can't use them all, right? You can't use every single
No.
piece of oxygen.
Yes, yes. You see, the reality is in the book number 5, which is getting published. But in a lecture, we had to learn to open it that the doctors could understand. Something like majority of the air we breathe in is nitrogen to start with. Then you have the small percentage of oxygen and a very small amount of carbon. So what happens in the presence of the nitrogen, high volume of nitrogen in your lung, and the narrowness, or what we say like a composition of the vacuum you create in your reactors, the nitrogen creates the separation of the oxygen or breakup of the oxygen or loosening of the oxygen atom, that it releases a helium energy level. What happens, oxygen 16 and you release a helium, what are you going to end up with? Carbon. So once that separation done, not helium, but the energy of a helium crosses the boundary of the wall of the lung into the blood. So no material has ever crossed the lung. This is a misconception that we say we oxygenizes our blood. The reason the blood becomes brighter once it goes through the lung is not that it absorbs oxygen. No material ever crosses the wall of the lung or the blood veins. The energy transfers. It's exactly the same as I always say. If you have a light bulb in the room with the tolerance on it, as you turn it, it becomes brighter. So as the blood goes through the lung and absorbs this factor of helium energy, not the matter, it charges up. It becomes a lot brighter. That's why we see the blood which comes out of the lung in a bright color. It just gets charged up.
So that energy would be matter, transition matter, and principal matter, because everything is made out of that, correct?
In partially, yes, but it's mainly in just submatter level or above matter level.
So
yeah?
mostly transition.
It's mostly transition. So, and then what are you left to? In the lung, you have oxygen, which is lost the helium factor. It becomes carbon, and immediately attaches itself to 2 more oxygen in the body, in the lung, because it has to become stable. So what you get is CO2 we breathe out.
So the trees, then, they would absorb that. So they would absorb enough to make the oxygen back into the air.
They absorb enough to make a flow back out into air as CO2. If you, in the future, scientists will measure the exact molecules of the oxygen which go into the lung, and they will measure count of the atoms of carbon which comes out, it will be exactly the same. Only the number of oxygen, let's say if 1 million oxygen go in, there'll come 600,000 oxygen and 300,000 carbon. You understand?
Yeah.
And that conversion of the oxygen to carbon is the energy which the body absorbs.
Okay, so now
Helium,
it's just...
This is exactly what you are doing. You see, go a further step up. The same process happens on the boundary of the Earth. Nitrogen at the upper level leads to creation of ionization and breaking of the thing into matter. Nitrogen does the same thing in a smaller scale in the lung of the man. There is no difference. There is no difference. This is a total misconception in the world of science, the way our ancestors tried to explain their existence. In reality, it doesn't happen, and the world of medicine carries on with the same stupid logic. No oxygen ever crosses the boundary. Now, as a physicist, as somebody who understands the science across the world, across the science of universe, It's very easy to explain. And you see it. Ask the doctors, ask the scientists, measure the number of atoms of oxygen which goes into the lung and the number which comes out, and measure the number of carbon the same. You find that the numbers is exactly the same. So this oxygenation of the blood, it's the stupidity of a man who never understood the concept of the physicality of what's going on inside the lung. The reason is, let me explain to you how stupid is blood, oxygen crossing the blood vessels and the lung. You have oxygen with all these electrons and the protons. It's the size of a juggernaut, yeah, an 18-wheeler, yeah. And then you have, let's say, carbon, which is the size of a van. And then you have hydrogen, is the size of a bicycle. You tell me that the juggernaut can go through and no hydrogen, no carbon goes through the wall to the blood, which are smaller? No matter ever crosses. Energies cross. And then in specific way in the blood, when certain packages cross, they convert into a Gans. And then that's how we get physicality. It's not a material, it's the conversion of energy into Gans, and that's why our body is like a superconductor. Wherever we touch, we feel it. I was in a meeting with a neurologist a couple of days ago, and I explained this to him, that you don't have nerves all over your body, but the minute you touch, even the wind touches you, you feel the wind. Why? Because the body material is in a Gans state, it's a superconductor at room temperature. So you change the pressure on it, it transfers the information by the conversion between a carbon and a diamond. And that conversion tells you if you're touched, if you're burning, if you're... These are all the misconceptions in the world of medicine or science, which has fed into public. And that's why we're trying to correct it with the books.
Great.
So you have the same problem in these plasmas. People show me plasmas. Look, we get energy. If you get energy, you don't need to create an arc. This is the story of the spark plugs. You are showing me a spark plug. You don't show me entering into a plasma. There is a huge step missing, and it's a misunderstanding.
So basically, if the glass is not the material, copper is the one, or?
Your skin is a good one. If you can use your own skin.
Well, my wife is using it already, so that's not available.
We are trapped in the world of physicality. This is one of the problems. We are too materialistic, and we are still looking into materials, physicality, where in fact the physicality is a temporary state, but the universe exists in all dimensions, in all levels. So this is what talks like this and practical conditions like this opens up the science in a very soft and slow way for others to understand. When you put this up like the other videos you put up like last time, a lot of people in the world of science will understand for the first time where we've gone wrong, where the whole science has gone wrong, because the world of medicine at the moment is still in dark ages, because they are working on the theory of the oxygen crossing the lung. And you go to a doctor, they say you're oxygenated, there is not enough oxygen in your blood. Look at the structure of the blood different way, then you understand how your reactors don't create energy and how we do. And then people tell us, oh, he's a crook, he can't do, he can't show. If I show how I create energy, you do to me exactly what they did to the guy who said the earth was round the first time. You hung me. But if you understand it, then it becomes logical to you, then I carry the whole lot of you.
Right.
You understand?
I think
So-
that's helping a lot for understanding, for sure.
So, Mr.
Yeah.
Keshe,
Yes.
what material would you advise for me? I have studied a lot of your work since we last met, and I have built a group like I email you. We want to start, like you said, like with the basic, okay? And we want to start to create electricity, for powering our home, And what gas would you advise to put it, or because now I was clear on my thing, but I think I'm not sure now, because are we clear? Are we to create electricity? Are we creating a plasma? Then we take the electricity of it, or are we creating electricity inside of the plasma? You understand what I'm saying?
You see, yeah. Okay, redefine what is electricity.
Energy that
Redefine energy in a small packages, which is emotion.
yes,
That package you go to a supermarket, you call it a kilo of carrot, or you call it a kilo of spinach.
yes,
It's
yes,
just a bag. What's inside it is important, but you can't get into the carrot inside the bag till you open it.
right,
So you have to find a way how to get inside the bag. Doesn't matter if it's a carrot or if it's a lettuce or whatever else. You have to find a way to get access to what's inside. And I have seen nothing at the moment in any of, even with the work with the advanced universities, I haven't seen any. And they say we cannot, I can produce energy. Your body at this moment as you talk is doing the same thing as what you're asking for me for a system, but you don't understand your own working. Look inside. Look inside you. You have all the most powerful reactors inside you. But you understood the physics the wrong way. You're trying to go to moon, going into the direction of the sun. You are going the world of science is going totally the opposite way and expects to get there. You'll get back to the moon, but by the time you come back to the moon, you go the whole circle of the universe because you're going the opposite way. This is one of the fundamental problems. I sit on the corners, I sit on the edge, I watch a lot of criticism, and as I say, as Christ said, God forgive them, they don't know what they are doing. Yeah?
yes,
A lot of people are doing a lot of things, and they think because they are doing it, there is something wrong with us. They don't see that they're going the wrong way themselves.
yes. So okay. So I just want to make sure that I understand.
Make sure, yes.
Okay.
Let me explain to you one thing before you go any further.
Okay. Thank you.
You can create energy from gold. You can create energy from the plasma of a hydrogen. It depends what knowledge you use. There is not always hydrogen or a plasma across the universe for other creatures to use. They use gold. They use heavier material than the materials we know. It's just they have realized how to use it. Man has not realized how to use the structure of the universe. It's easier to create energy out of solid gold than actually is from hydrogen. Ludmil says, what about this? Can I use copper? Why don't you use gold? Why don't you use uranium? Because they create a much, much stronger field than hydrogen. But hydrogen is easy to handle with the material the man has. That's why we see different colors in the universe. We see different color structure. Because all the stars are not based on hydrogen. In the different universal conditions, the stars work only through packages of plutonium or uranium. We've been forced by the scientists who never themselves understood to accept false spaces, so we base our knowledge on the false spaces. And it's time to open and look at the whole spectrum. So you can use hydrogen, you can use nitrogen, you can use gold. You still get the same effect, but you have to understand how you want to get into Mars and how you want to get onto the surface of the sun. You have to be equipped and understand what you're carrying with you to be able to get in. Very soon, man will land on the surface of the stars because we understand the technology, we know how to do it. But now, if I tell you, so the guy is crazy. I'm not crazy, it's just you don't understand it. Huh? You don't wear a metal swimming suit and jump on the surface of a swimming pool which has got no water in it. You wear that clothes to go in the deep sea. And this is the misconception in the science. You show me a lot of reactors. I sit and this is part of the learning. It's not ridiculing. This is how it should be. We sat down, we watched last time, I didn't say anything. We watched Ludmil and hopefully see other scientists who are courageous enough to put themselves in the front and show. And then together we learn. And once we learn, we put the science the correct way. In what we saw with Rick last time, these lights you create, these plasmas you create, now you have to open and go to the next step. How to get into the plasma, how to open the shell and get inside it. You bought a box of oranges, now you have an orange in your hand. It's time to peel it. Find a way to peel the orange. And then you can eat the fruit.
Well, that's what we've been pondering and trying to figure out amongst ourselves here.
You're going the wrong way, Rick. You're very correct. You're very correct where you're going, but you are on the first step in getting up the ladder and the correct way.
Yeah, I definitely feel like I'm in kindergarten as far as that whole process.
Too. I'm in the same position. The more we open up, the more we learn. We see we understood nothing. But we are in different levels. You see, when you go to the first class, alphabet is very difficult. But when you go to the first class in university, still the lectures are very difficult, even you know the alphabet. Yeah? So it's according to our understanding. And no, you cannot ridicule a child who's in the first year, you don't understand, you're stupid because you don't know alphabet. Because you yourself were in that place 12 years before. Yeah? So we are all in different stages and nobody can ridicule, but nobody can say the guy in the, when I explained to you 6-function differential, as a first year doesn't understand. But another one in the same level understand. So we have to allow the growth of the culture and intellect. And don't put restriction on it. Otherwise I say to Ludmil, oh, this is stupid. No, we have to listen and through it we all learn. Huh?
Well,
Yes.
probably is, but
Oh, we learn.
that's all the knowledge I have. So
No.
I am not ashamed of it.
Listen, the guy in Africa does not even have the jars you have to experiment. You're a very rich scientist with infrared lights and the other things on your table. I've been to the universities in Africa. They don't even have the jars you have, so you're much ahead. So it's all understanding what we do. I can show you everything you want to see, but people don't understand, then I become crucified. And the ones who think they know now, they tell us everything is wrong. Because they don't understand. It's okay, it's like a father, you see your child is wrong, but you don't go and bash him about, huh? You say, in time we will learn. It's the same process with us. But we learn in different stages. It's like a family with different children, different ages. Huh? So we're all a big family and in different ages, and we all learn different things, and we have different capabilities and facilities. But it's not standing and ridiculing. I could have come, like a priest and say everything Rick showed us last time was rubbish. No. We learn through it, we learn more, and through it we all go together in different steps. Go inside. If you don't understand the structure, look at how your body works. But the true way, not the way they have taught us.
Yeah, like last session, you spoke in very detail about the bluefish. The reason why one blood would be this color and stuff like that. I thought it was very enlightening. You were very clear about that.
Now, I think if you look at this talk today we had in the past half an hour now, this is a major breakthrough in the world of science if people understand it, what we have explained. But this is all in the books coming out. It's not just this on, if this tape gets destroyed, then the knowledge is not transferred. We have written books that are all coming out in due course that the doctors have to understand. And the scientists have to understand to teach the doctors that the whole thing is wrong. But one of the problems is that these doctors, because they've read the book and they swore into the oath of the medicine, they think they are gods and they are correct. But they don't understand they are the messengers of death, and they call themselves doctors because they were taught the wrong way, but they think they are correct. Yeah. Pardon?
Nobody can tell them different either.
They understand. I had a meeting. I'm sure this video will be listened by people who were in the meeting. Let me explain to you something very simple. In the world of medicine, we call the people schizophrenic. Yeah? And we produce all sorts. If you go into institutes around the world, there are mental hospitals which is accommodating only schizophrenics. I've been to several of them. I've been inside them. Yeah? But do you know this is the biggest crime ever man has done to another man? The schizophrenics are not sick. What we call a schizophrenic is not a sickness. It's the reality of the fact. Because we are stupid ourselves, we blame them for it. Let me explain it. I explained it to this doctor. We have different conditions of birth. These are conditions of birth. We are born individually. We are a boy or a girl. We are born as twins. We have two physicality. We have two boys born as a twin, or two girls, or a boy and a girl. Then we have what we call Siamese twins, which is, they're attached to each other, but they have two brains separately. But one body has to change the physicality of the two brains. The other stage which man has not understood is that these two bodies in the Siamese twin, two brains, exist in the same brain instead of being separated or being twins. So, in different stages of the maturity, one tries to show itself the other way. So, two individuals, two brains, two entities occupy the same body. So, is this a sickness or is it a physicality? Doctors don't understand it. They call it a schizophrenia. They try to suppress one and the other one. So, to the present science, what they call a schizophrenic as a sickness. To me, as a scientist who understands the structure of the universe, this is two individuals. If you respect them, if you allow them to show themselves, you have two gorgeous people. It's like two twins, but they share one body. It's like us, we can't afford two cars in a family. We have one car and we all get into it. It doesn't mean that we are poor and we are stupid, or doesn't mean we made accommodation for a husband and wife or two twins getting one car. So why are we creating so much medicine to destroy a physicality? Because the world of medicine never understood the reality of a schizophrenic. That's why I explained to the neurologist why we see them laughing, why we see them talking. They are talking to another. How come two twins walking on the street talk to each other? The twin in the same physical. These are misunderstanding of the science, the same as the reactors. That's why we say it's our job to open the science in true way, in reality. Then all of us as Lady Dragon says, we try to create, what do we need? You have everything you need to create a energy source in your kitchen, if you know how to use it. I don't go and build things. I use what's in the kitchen. My wife will tell you, huh? The first reactors, we try to elaborate and make it bigger, but in reality, we try to understand more of the structure, not the actual structure, because we understood the structure.
Lot to ponder.
So basically,
Listen to
what's
this
the-
tape. Listen to this tape 100 times, and every time you learn something new. So there's a lot of information in there for different scientists. I think if you put the tape as a whole, and then put the tape as a, what do you call it? As the way you put writing underneath of it.
With caption.
Yeah. Put the tape as one go, and then in separate part, people can listen to it, read it for the international people who translate.
So basically, what's the way to create soft X-rays in like home conditions?
It's nitrogen
Nitrogen.
or helium. Helium does it in the star system. Nitrogen does it in the matter system like Earth. But you have to understand the process. You have double layers of creating plasma, but you don't see it. So you got to understand the process. You look at the physicality, look into the structure. Helium, there is a lot of misconception in the cosmophysicists and the people who study the structure of the solar system. And the same stupidity of what their understanding has led into the production of fusion. They are trying to create helium and what they call create fusion. Fusion never happens the way they are trying to produce. Helium in the center of the stars is a byproduct, is not the product. It's a byproduct which allows and facilitates to keep the ionization going. But the system created itself to feed itself. The fusion is not, and that's why high temperatures are seen. The high temperature on the surface of the stars does not come from fusion. It comes from the interaction of the high gravitational magnetic field from the center with a plasma's gravitational magnetic field on the surface. And then we call it the high temperature, and the center of the sun is much hotter than the outside. These are all what I call granddad's the bedtime stories which has no truth. In the center of the sun, the hydrogen, the plasma, in allowing and releasing its energy in different parts, leads to packages of energy, what we call helium. There is no physicality of helium present. It's all packages of energy. And if you read the book number 4, I have explained the process clearly. Helium is not a fusion process which comes from plasma. And that's why billions has been spent on fusion and no results has been achieved. They call my technology cold fusion. Actually, I don't fuse. I go the other way. I split. And so people don't understand. They try to categorize us. Keshe has found a cold fusion. Cold fusion is meaningless. You don't create energy by fusing. You create energy by tapping into the plasma. Just 1 second, please. I have to say goodbye to my son who's going to school. 1 second.
Yeah, sure. Take your time.
We can do this now.
So, you have to go back into the structure. The book number 4 will explain a lot about how our reactors work. But you have to understand. And the book number 5 about the structure of the life in the universe explains more between the physicality and the human body, the same process. If you increase or decrease the amount of nitrogen in the lung, you end up with pneumonia and water in the lung. This is what doctors don't understand. I've explained this in book number 5. Yeah? When you increase, or the body goes, or the position and the passage of the blood, or what do you call it, the air channels in the lung changes because of smoking or whatever, or when you're ill, this allows the conversion rate much faster. So what happens? You have oxygen, you have a helium which is converting to go to energy, and you have a hydrogen which is created. So what do you get? You got the oxygen. Instead of creating CO2, you create H2O. So what they do, they empty the lung of the people from fluid. This fluid doesn't come from the body. Body doesn't inject liquid into the lung. The liquid in the lung is created through the wrong conversion of nitrogen in conjunction with the conversion of the oxygen into carbon and helium. So if the doctors understand this is how when we had a coma patient, she couldn't get pneumonia. Because you can control one of the biggest deaths of the coma patients is creation of liquid in the lung, pneumonia, in different form. So you can create the conversion rate of energy into matter. When the conversion rate goes the wrong way, it has to lead to a matter. So what is the matter in the lung? Water, liquid, pneumonia. In the future, it's in my book number 5, I explain, in the future, to stop the people dying of pneumonia, is just to change the conversion in the lung, or the flow of nitrogen rate into the lung. What did they do? They give more oxygen to a sick person, and they cause the death. You should not give oxygen to a person with pneumonia. You have to control the rate of the change of the energy into matter, which is nitrogen. And our doctors don't understand this yet.
So basically you need to breathe nitrogen, right?
Yes, a very right mixture to compensate for the damage to the structure of the vessels in the lung.
And the lung will repair itself?
Yes, of course. That's what we do with COPD. We use this process already. People they write me, oh, you have to publish a paper to peer review. Papers to peer reviewed by the doctors who are already stupid? A donkey cannot peer review a paper, huh?
Yeah. No, I completely understand that, Mr. Keshe, the trials and tribulations that you have.
This is the problem, and they say you haven't published the peer. I can publish the whole knowledge of man in one book. It'll take him 1,000 years to understand it. Mm-hmm. But you have to understand the structure. You can create plasma out of material in your kitchen. Africans don't have what you have in your kitchen, so they still can create plasma in their kitchen. Because once they understand the structure.
So Mr. Keshe, I'm going to ask you a question. If I understand that condition creates whatever we need, right? So that's why somebody that eats well will let's say that you have a problem with your lungs, you eat garlic and you eat olive oil, that will create a condition to create a healthy lung. Am I correct?
No, but yes.
No.
Both ways. In a way, yes. In a way, no. The thing is, we have given name to different packages of energy. So if you manage to get the right package, with a garlic or with bread or with air that the body needs, you will see the body will function in its normal manner. This is again another misconception that we say, okay, you eat the garlic, you get better. Look at the structure, physical atomic structure of the garlic. Let me explain. This is coming up in the books about the creation of the universe, in the book which is coming with the medical side. In the future, you read it. Look at plants and life on Earth. You have roots, you have herbs, you have shrubs, and then you have trees. Why we use herbs or we use roots? Why don't we get so much direct energy from fruits which are hanging on the tree? The reason is our body is created from the earth, materials within inside the earth. And the plants which are short close to the ground, they absorb more fields from the earth coming up. So they are much stronger packages. The apple on the tree absorbs more energy which is coming from the sun, which is not so much related to us as a physical side on earth. So the roots absorb more of the magnetic gravitational field of the earth coming up than the trees. So we find roots and herbs, we say these are good for us. Why? Because they absorb more of what we are made of physically, because we are connected to the same process. So if you look at what we call Keshe power cell, we have a technology which is getting commercialized. Very soon you will see it in the market, in the next hopefully 12 months, that we will replace the present solar system. I've spoken about this, I've shown it in some presentations. This system sits on the ground and it creates more energy at night than the daytime. You create 3 times more energy at nighttime when you need it than the daytime. Why? Because Earth radiates energy outwards, and we are next to it. The solar system, the solar panels, only absorb what comes out from the sun. In fact, we have created a system which is a copy of a herb. We absorb energy, but the energy coming from the earth is 24 hours a day. The energy we produce less during the daytime is because the radiation from the sun pressurizes this field down into below ground level. So we do the same thing with everything. We have to understand why we get to these points, why we do it. Have we come up with a new energy system? No. We understood the structure of the creation. You convert a herb into the system which I build, I call it day and night. I absorb more from the earth magnetic field, gravitational field, as it leaves the surface of the earth, before it gets interfered further up, before it gets to the tree level. That's why we call it day and night, because the energy from the earth is continuous. So, and you can make this system with what you have in your house. You don't need me to produce it for you. The other position is the same, what we have converted everything to AC. We have to change our thinking. We produce AC, we transmit it down the line few hundred kilometers, we put it into our house, we buy an adapter to convert it back to DC. Now the new systems you have, they're all DC. Plasma does not understand AC current. energy in plasma is DC. You stand in front of the sun outside on the earth, what do you get? You don't get the pulses of energy, you get a continuous flow of energy. It's always DC. So our tools have to be changed. In so many ways, Edison wasn't wrong, but didn't have the tool of making it, where Tesla made it by pulsing it. If you get a big sack of potato, you cannot throw it because it's 50 kilo of it. But if you open it, you can throw the potatoes one at a time and empty the sack. The sack of potato is what Edison did. The potatoes in the bag is what Tesla did. Tesla managed to create, what do you call it, throwing the potatoes in pieces, what we call alternative. This is what we have to understand. So when you finish your plasma systems, you will have always DC. We are talking to people who make inverters, to make efficient inverters into the AC. But when you have a system in your house, why do you need to change it to AC and then change it back again with the adapter to DC? These are we've been physically conditioned by commerce and by our own misunderstanding. So you can create a small reactor the size of a peanut and put it in your calculator and it works for 20, 30, 50 years. Pardon? I cannot hear you. Can you talk a bit louder? Hello? Somebody was talking.
Most of the electronic equipment converts to DC inside.
All of it does. Now you have a technology to work directly with DC.
Just change all the appliances to DC.
This is one of the things which we have looked at and we've done, and we spoke with the energy producers of the batteries. The new cycle of batteries which you will see in the market coming from the plasma technology, it'll be the same batteries as you buy, but instead of having all this, what do you call it, graphite in it and all the chemicals, it will carry a miniature reactor inside it. To change all the appliances and all the connections to new system will take decades. But this way, we tap into a current use system.
And it only takes what it needs, Mr. Keshe?
Yeah. It stays the same. We used to have this on one of our website pages. If you go into the archives of, not Keshe Foundation, if you go on the Internet archives and look for Keshe Technologies,
yep, I have it.
We've shown this. So now it's becoming a reality. We don't say a lot of things which are happening in the development. Because
so if you have a 9-volt battery, you could actually get more than 9 volts out of it if you plugged into something that took more than 9 volts, correct?
Yes, because let me explain something very interesting. You saw, I don't know, we gave a lecture on 26th of November 2 years ago in Holland, in the spaceship theater, what they call the Philips, what do you call it? The center which we gave the lecture.
Elector?
Elector, yeah. Elector did a test. We shown their pictures in that presentation as well in the labs. The reason they put a lecture up, they promoted that lecture, because they did the test themselves independently, and then they were convinced the technology, but the Americans, what do you call it, structure, put the pressure on them not to release, don't allow such a technology to be shown. If you go on Elector 5th of May 2010, what they released, you will find they have an article called Just Add Water. Yes? You find this article in every language they published except in English version, because they did not want the world to understand what has been discovered. What happened is that you, as you are not English reader, you never read it. Just go into the Elector magazine 2010 I have a copy somewhere, I can read it for you. It's in all languages, French and Flemish, but the American government put pressure on Elector not to publish the English version. In this test they did in the laboratory is that we start to show how you create energy out of space in a very simple way. And in this process we produced CO2, solid CO2, which you see in the pictures of the book. You see in book number 2 where you see a gallon of water at the bottom of a misty thing. That is what we produced in the lab of the Elector. That is pictured inside the Elector lab. So, and then what happened, one of the engineers said, okay, let's see if the energy comes, we can light a LED. We put one LED, and then he puts a second one on, and it still was going on. The third one, he said, okay, let's put a motor. If you look at the pictures of the book where you see a motor of a computer, a cooling system, yeah?
Yeah,
This is all Elector's equipment. It's there in the lab. We just took pictures and we put it in the book. The more you add things to the system takes as energy it needs from the universe. You need the energy, and what they said is amazing because we don't need to put any circuitry into it. You don't need to you just connect another light bulb to the same circuit and it just keeps on demanding. As you put demand on it, it absorbs more from its environment.
Trust me, I've looked over that Elector video a lot, looking at that Gans, because you showed it when you were on stage. You sucked it up into a syringe and you sucked the part of it up, and I've looked at that so many times trying to figure out what position you have them set up.
This is the same structure as your blood vessels. You don't transfer material, you transfer energy, and if you put the right material, it converts to matter. That's how energies convert into our flesh and body.
And that would be a superconductor, right?
It is the most efficient superconductor we ever known, because when we put we gave the material to Professor, what's his name? He is a professor in the biochemistry of the Ghent University. He said, leave us the material we tested, because they couldn't believe the material was so much. And if you look at the graphs in the book number 2 from the Gans, you see dates and things underneath. We didn't cut anything out that we made these things. This is the papers they gave us from their machine. One of them says, I think, 19th of December 2009 or something. So they did, and when we looked at the structure, they wanted to see what material this thing is or near behaves to. One of the materials is a composition of some 14 and 22 different superconductors, some of it that we think we might be able to produce in 70 years, 80 years. These materials carry a superconductive characteristic at room temperature.
So all
the same
GANs
as your body.
are superconductor?
Pardon?
So all GANs are superconductor?
Of course they are. Because they have a magnetic connection in a no boundaries condition. That's why the minute I touch the tip of your toe, you feel it in your brain if somebody's touching you. That's why the minute you put your foot on a nail, you feel it. That's a superconductor at room temperature. And they said it's impossible. They are looking for what their own body is made of. This is another stupidity of man. They always look because they don't understand what's in their hand. How come you feel the emotion of your child who's hundreds of kilometers away when he's in pain? You do not need, we are such efficient superconductors in our own structure that we deny our own structure and then we go and look for it. It's like being thirsty, looking in the desert for the water when you carry a bucket of water in your pocket.
Yeah.
This is mainly to do with the scientists because they never understood it themselves, and they created this stupid peer review. Through peer review, control the intelligence of man. whoever came up with peer review has got to be shot.
I've never doubted the aspect of Gans, and I'm just trying to follow or try to find the process on which we can create the position, because as you say, it's all about the position you have to get what material what Gans you create, right?
Yeah, look at it this way, very simple way. If it's very hard to understand, always go to a bigger scale. You have clouds which are white, you have clouds which are dark. You have clouds which carry pollution, you have clouds which carry different material in them. How come they got there, and how come the same cloud looks different and has different materials in it? Because that layer at that part away from the earth create that condition for it to attach itself to the water drops, or to moisture. There is no difference in your body, and there is no difference in the space. You can't create one reactor to produce oxygen in the space and another reactor to produce protein. You have to understand the layering and then carry the energy of that layer to the body, not the physicality of it. Yeah? In the future,
you run into the stomach, as you say.
Yeah, we don't need the stomach, but that's the problem. That's why we have to create the CO2. When you touch the CO2 in Gans state, I stopped doing it. That's why I wear gloves, if you notice in my presentation, because the minute you touch this thing, you taste it. When you touch, CH4, when you touch the bottle, you taste it in your mouth. It's such a rapid transition. You don't need to touch the material.
So it's transferring the energy directly through the superconductive, from one superconductor to another.
Yeah, and I get sick. Usually I don't feel good for a day or two when I touch it. And that's why we don't let people touch it. Oh, why doesn't he give people to hand it? I used to hand it over to people, but now we realize we don't do it anymore. Because you get a taste of different things when you have 4 or 5 different samples in front of you. As you touch different bottles, you taste different thing in your mouth. Is it perception? Is it the calm way of transfer of information? Because in the world of medicine, or in the world of medical history, your body starts creating the enzymes for digestion long before you see the food, by the odor they produce. So they transfer the energy through the odor.
Which is the diamond state, as you said.
Diamond state, yes, very much. So I think Gans materials in the future will be shown they're sitting in a very dynamic diamond state of the Gans, because Gans has its own states as well. So
and help slow down the field so that you create the Gans?
No, it's how you allow the composition to be done. You see, if I go back to explaining the best ways with the brain, all the brain structure is not the same, but they're all Gans.
Okay.
You understand? If you look at the cuts of the cross section of the brain is not one solid piece, huh? It's like us having legs. In one leg you have a muscle and different muscles for different movement of the leg. Brain has different structures, and that's why we say this part is the memory part inside is not there. It's just that we see the physical structure, but it's the same material. It's a gapping. Something which I explain in some of my lectures to people who understand. There is a specific area in the brain which, if you know how to tap into it, how to use it, you can float, you can fly anywhere. This position creates a double magnetic field which you need for creation of gravity. I'm sure our ancestors had access to this knowledge.
I'm sure.
And the people who can levitate know slightly about it. They don't know what they do with it. But this position is part of the structure of our brain.
Because you're
It is
basically
there.
You haven't seen my wife on a broom, that's why.
We all live with witches, don't worry. sorry, ladies.
She don't tap in her brain, just use a broom.
I hope she doesn't watch this, Ludmil.
No. She knows.
No, without them we cannot live, and with them we live a good life. Huh? But in so many ways, it's in the structure of our brain to be able to levitate. When you look at, I look at one of the things which I do for years now, when people give me the MRI of the brain scan for MS, or for other diseases or brain cancer, I immediately go and see how intelligent this guy is, because if they have managed to use the position for levitation, it shows the pain, the level of suffering they've had. Because the more you suffer, the more you try to find a solution to leave this body or leave the position of this body, and you go closer to use of this point. And when I look at the structure of the brain, I can see the suffering. How much a person suffered by how much they tried to get to reach a point to leave the body.
Well, that's interesting.
If you look at the structure of the brain with the MS, it's a fantastic thing to watch. I've seen loads of it. And with the MS, you see one hemisphere moving, shifting, and reducing, and one hemisphere expanding, or keeping its shape but moving more to the other side. And when I was explaining this to the MS doctors, they said they understand it. And it all comes from the change of characteristics from the diamond to a graphite in a Gans state. Graphite Gans state is soft. The diamond is hard. So the harder part, as the brain cells carbon changes to graphite, which become a conductor, and that's what MS is, you find the harder side pushes on it the softer side, so it squeezes it. Now physically we can understand why the brain shape changes in the brain of MS.
So if
Now
you
we
change back
understand.
to the diamond structure, then it wouldn't go back to normal. It would stay where it is right now, correct?
We have reversed it. We have MRI which shows in 6 months we have reversed it by 3 years. You can, up to extend, stop the degeneration or conversion, the right word for it, from diamond to graphite. And this thing, the conversion shows us, it's a paper coming out very soon about MS. In MS, you have the same superconductor. But the only way the doctors will tell you have a MS, they take an MRI from your brain and your spine. And they say there are gray lesions on your brain, or they see a high percentage of gray material on upper part of your spinal cord. Yeah?
Right.
They say you have MS. Now with the knowledge we have in our hand, and they say that myelin disappears and you get MS. This is all rubbish. So why do you see gray on the top end of the brain and in the brain layers?
Well, like you said, it's because it's a softer material in the X-rays or whatever. You can see right through it.
No. Graphite is black. When the diamond changes from diamond to graphite, it becomes black. Now, you mix a black with the white, what do you get? Gray. Now, when the doctors say myelin disappears, you show me cavity in the spinal cord. Nothing is changed, nothing is destroyed. The same material as an insulator diamond becomes a conductor graphite. So you get connection between nerves. A superconductor, instead of conducting along, it conducts across. So you change the position. So one nerve leaks to another nerve. So myelin never disappeared. But in the physical structure, the grayness shows how much conversion has been from diamond structure to the graphite. And doctors don't understand this. And now with the new science, we understand it and implement it. Game of science medicine has changed with the new understanding, because now we can explain a lot of physicalities.
Well, it sounds like it's all the same. Doesn't matter. It just sounds like it's all the same, no matter if you're talking about power or you're talking about medicine or you're talking about the universe.
That's exactly the same. We understand the creation, the process of the creation in the universe. What would you like? You would like a glass of water, or would you like a cup of gold? It's all the same. It's different packages of its strength. The process is the same. It's a conversion rate.
So basically, by converting the magnetic field around the human head, you can repair MS or whatever the disease is, pretty much.
No, you have. We thought that, but now the new systems which are in which has been tested shows us you have to understand how this process came in internally. You know, a few years ago we were happy if a MS person could move their leg and their arms and they could walk. We were happy we could do this. But in fact, this was because we didn't understand it fully at that time. Now we go for the source where it gives the instruction for these things, not trying to change the side effects of it. The paralysis is the side effect of the MS, but it's not the center where it gives the order.
So where
now
is
we have found out where there is. We have found out the trials have been going on for a long time. Now we'll see the results very soon.
So is it in the brain? Is it the brain?
Let me explain something. We have Keshe Foundation. A lot of people make a lot of threat against us, but they don't know what we support ourselves with. And these people who make threats and give us to this and that, they make a lot of shouting, but they get nowhere, is because the Keshe Foundation have a very solid structure. Keshe Foundation is Keshe Foundation, but Keshe Foundation owns certain divisions on a legal matter. Keshe Foundation has a Keshe Foundation Research and Development, which is a registered company as a research and development into space. And it took us months to negotiate with the Belgian government to get this company registered. In the mandate of the company with the license with our registration, we are allowed to investigate in any field of medicine. It's in our mandate. We've been given. And what we can do, we can research, we can publish papers about it, we can go into the medical, clinical trials. And people make threat against us. You are doing things illegal. But we don't tell people. It's the first time I'm putting it in the open. Keshe Foundation Research and Development, which is owned 100% by Keshe Foundation, is a research, development, space technology, and in our mandate, we can handle nuclear material, we can handle agriculture, health, energy, everything. Because we register as a space, and our mandate initially is 7 pages. Everything line by line agreed by the government. And we had to negotiate line by line. And so now we have Keshe Foundation Research and Development, which can do health according to his permission and license. Secondly, Keshe Foundation Plasma Technology has been given a license, a permit to produce medical systems for alternative medicine in Belgium by the body who's responsible for alternative medicine, recognized by the government, and they have insured us by one of the major insurance companies that if we do anything wrong or our system does anything, the insurance company has underwritten our activities. So we do research in medical with a full support of what we have legally in our hand. And then this legal structure by the EU regulation, when they give you a number, let's say for activity in health, is the same for across EU. So we can do medical tests across EU with what we have, what the government has agreed. So we do test in medical, we do test in health with a full legal operational license. And the people don't understand. These are all put up in our offices in Belgium and it's registered, it can be checked. And we pay for keeping these licenses. Yeah? And part of this license is that we have to teach the new technology. So, teaching is part of the process of keeping our license. So people who make threat against us, you're doing the illegal medicine, blah, blah, they don't know what we have done legally and correctly to support our work. That's why they keep on going to the authorities and they get no reaction. Because when the authorities check our documents, we are correct in order. So
they don't want you to have a reactor, but you can, by legality, reactors because of the spaceship program, which can also then be used in medical side.
Yes. We didn't go to ask for the license for the health. They came to us, they said, we've seen what you've done, but let's put it into the legal structure that nobody can touch you. We didn't go after this license. They gave it to us. We received it on 25th of November 2011, 2 years ago now, a year and a half ago. We didn't go for it. I had to appear in front of the medical board to explain. They came to our lectures without us knowing. They monitored some of our patients. They knew how it works. They said, now we have to give a legal entity to be able to be safe. Yeah?
Well, that shows some promise that people are aware and that at least the
yeah.
medical side is coming around.
If you come to my office in Nino, it's on the wall. We put it on the wall so that we are, and the beauty of it is they submitted with what knowledge they had about our technology to a major insurance company, and major insurance company underwritten it because it's correct. Insurance company don't take high risks. So we are insured, our activities are insured through the structure of legal entity in Belgium, which is set up accepted by government. So people go and make complaint, oh, we call the EU health authorities, we call this, we call Belgium health. They come, we work according to the license we have. I cannot diagnose sickness. That's why you have to bring your blood test and the report from your doctor before I see you. I make the tools, and the doctor has to monitor it. Or it's your job. We don't give things. People come and say, oh, you're doing illegal thing. First of all, we sign an agreement. Secondly, we sign a non-disclosure. Thirdly, we sign a declaration that you understood what you signed in agreement. Yeah? And in that agreement, it says you ask us to build a system to test for a space technology, and you donate your body to the Foundation for the Humanity. They took our contracts to pieces by lawyers in 2 or 3 different countries, and they say it's very clear. A man decides to do what he likes at his house to help himself. Yeah? You buy a car.
I'm pretty sure the cure people are not angry.
No,
I'm
because
pretty sure the cure people are okay with that.
we have no problem, but you have to understand that we are learning. So people understand. It's the first time, this is what pharmaceuticals are very much don't touch us, is that we are opening a new era in the world of medicine for them as a frontiers. And it's the first time to do a research, you have to go to a bank to find finance. You have to go to a bank and then find people to can do things. And then now our volunteers come and say, we are prepared to finance the research ourselves for the rest of humanity, what you learn from us. And nobody can stop you from donating your body or life or money for research. But it's the first time man is doing to support another man in the future. And this is why legally we are covered, and you sign into it. You sign with clear agreement in 4 places what you're doing is. And if you don't have the money, we don't ask for it. You donate the funds into the foundation. And we see people who come and use us, and when they get better, they pretend nothing has happened. Oh, can we have a refund? No problem. But we stop that process because now you do it as a donation. There are a lot of crooks out there. And we get a lot of people making threats. You do this, we're going to do this to you, we reported you to the government. Well, how come the government hasn't touched us for 4 years? Because they have given us a license to operate on this level. Because we are clear, we keep everything according to the law. We have a license, the officials, the people who understood, covered us, protected us that nobody can touch us. So you go and make complaint to all the EU. I have a, permit to operate, to produce system for space technology, and people volunteer themselves. What do we understand? What we understand in a space, we bring it to medical. We test it. What we understand in medical, we bring it into energy. So when you show me your system, your reactors, I look at different dimensions. I might look at it as a package of energy, in a human body, in a space travel, but the whole thing is the same. Now we understand how the foundation operates, huh?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
This is, we work very legally, very correct. We operate in a few different countries. Now we'll go into 6, 7 nations directly very soon. It's the responsibility of the governments to announce it, not us. So we follow the same structure. It took us 6 months to set the mandate of the Keshe Foundation for Keshe Research and Development. If you go into the Belgium company register, it's called Keshe Foundation R&D, Research and Development. And you read, we have a full mandate copy of the Belgium Nuclear Center to do nuclear activities, that the government cannot stop us. And then, because they couldn't stop us, they forced and they damaged my wife and everything, because they knew legally we are incorrect. So they used force.
Yes.
What they did to us in Belgium, that's why we left. We are not Belgium anymore. We are finished with that country. Because they could not legally force us. The head of the Belgian nuclear inspectors for safety, a fat guy who allowed the nuclear reactors with a crack to go into operation 20 years ago, in the meeting is all recorded, voice recorded. He told me, why don't you leave Belgium? We don't want you here because we have stolen enough from you. And when they couldn't do it, they went to force to damage my wife when I wasn't home with 6 police officers and everything else. They came to kill me. The Belgian police officers were there the day before. They knew exactly what they are doing because we set our system legally right to operate.
So you did have help within the Belgian government, but that allows you to go anywhere in the EU as well.
No, there is a different thing. This is a different thing because in Belgium there is a huge mess within the government. Bunch of pedophiles have sat on the seat. And if you read my letter of the new era, I explain who sits on the top. The King of Belgium sits on the top of the whole structure. I had a meeting with him. I know him. I talked to him for an hour and a half. There are pictures of it we can release. He has to control the government as a king, as a leader. Why doesn't he do it?
Yeah.
Yeah?
But
why
I think it's not only just
why a
interest.
research organization like Keshe Foundation has to be threatened by a bunch of the same people?
Because they're scared.
No, because they stole enough.
So they were finished with you, so they were going to...
They haven't finished with us because they couldn't take any more. We would not let go anymore.
Oh, okay.
You understand?
Yeah.
So they came with all sorts of rubbish. You do not go with 6 officers, armed officers, to a woman and bash her about, while I'm on the phone on the other side listening how they are mistreating my wife. Are these men, they're animals?
It's in the United States, it's in Canada, it's power. You see it with farmers.
It's not the power, they finish. Now
over.
the power is in your hands. The power, the knowledge is in the hand of people. They can bully me, they can't bully the rest. That's why when I watched the video the first time with Rick, he has on the back of his wall behind him the design of the reactor from patent. The knowledge sits in a little place in Canada. You don't need me, but understand the technology in reality, not what the physicality we've been told to accept.
Mm-hmm.
If you understand, read the patent from now on, not with the understanding you've been taught, with the understanding of the space and universe. You read totally different pattern. You will see the like daylight and say, God, I missed it. It's like, we were walking yesterday with my sons in a car park, and we didn't know where we parked the car because we came out of different exits. And I said, I knew I could see the car park. He says, look, we are standing next to it this year. I just turned around, the handle was in my hand. Yeah? So this is what it is. We don't see what's in front of us.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same. Read my patterns not in a physical term. Read my pattern in the cosmology, in the real physical of the universe working. And if it's too much, look at your own body. This is why I explained when you come to my lab, I don't have a different room for different things. I have different tables. I go from medicine into a space, to the material, to agriculture. When I don't understand on one table something, I go to the table which is something else but near to it.
Yeah, example, you see my picture, right? It's a picture of the solar system, correct?
I don't see your picture.
Okay, so I've always tried to relate it back to the solar system because, like you do, you can see where everything is in the solar system simply by looking at a picture. And I want to actually ask you about the asteroid belt that's in between Mars and Jupiter. And that, to me, that seems like the external part of the reactor, like an external shell.
No, this is the interaction between the two. As we have the interaction between gravitational magnetic field of the Earth and the Sun, this is the interaction between the four fields of the two planets. That's all it is.
Okay.
It's very simple. It's understand one thing in basic principle, then the rest of it you can explain. In the book which is coming out, the structure of the solar system, I have explained the rings of the Saturn.
Okay, so you have that paper in there? Because I've been looking for that one.
Yes, it's been added to with the new gain knowledge, so it's updated. Then we explain why you have the hexagonal clouds on the upper layer of North Pole of the Saturn. This has been done physically with MIT research. They've shown it, but they never understood it. So,
is that also the paper for the rings of Saturn in there too?
Yes. The book. You see what happened. We have a very nice guy. Rick knows him. He is what I call the other half of my work, Dirk. He translates my knowledge into pictures, and he's done it for years. So we try to convert a lot of knowledge from writing to pictures, and sometimes it's happened, we've done maybe 50, 100 pictures before we decide on which one we do, and even then we throw that away. One of his ideas was write the book that people understand it. I said, okay, I'll write the book in 2 weeks. He said 6 months. And he was right. We ended up with 6 months to write the first book. Then we came with all this peer review business that they were blocking us. So now in every book, we're going to publish 3, 4, 5 papers. Because once it's published in the book, nobody can peer review it. You peer review it according to your understanding. That's why in book 2 and 3 you start seeing the capture of CO2 paper and some other papers, the creation of black hole. was put in these books. These are the papers now we are putting into the books. That it doesn't need peer reviewing. Now it's in public knowledge. Then you peer review it yourself. In the book number 4, I think we have about 9 or 10 papers which are getting published as part of the book.
Oh, great.
The ring of the Saturn is one of them. Creation of magnetic field is one of them. There are quite a few. I think it's about 8 or 9 books in that, about papers in that book. What do you call it? The seed of the earth is in that book, which explain the totality of the creation of the planetary system.
Is the seed of the earth also in the patent in the Ocred?
Partially.
Okay.
Partially. Because what happened when Dirk and I we went to the European patent for a meeting with the 3 nuclear physicists, which were appointed by the European patent for an official meeting. They told us in that meeting was set for about 20 minutes. Rick, Dirk can tell you about this meeting. It was very interesting. And this meeting lasted, I think, over 2.5 hours. We were in there nearly 20 minutes to dismiss the patent. And then we showed them system, how we produce energy. We went in there. And there were 2 Italian professors and 1 English nuclear physicist. And the English guy kept on coming to the system every 20 minutes. And he says, show me energy now again. I showed him that system is still producing. And then we explained to them how gravity is created, the way we see it and we work. And after the end of the presentation, the 3 people who were, examining, they said that you have discovered a principle. You cannot patent a natural phenomenon. You've discovered the gravity. There is no doubt about it. But you cannot write a patent. You have to change your patent application. And they told us how to rewrite it, the wording we have to use. So Dirk went back and rewrote the whole patent again. That's why you have a representation of the patent number 1, because we were advised how to write it. Where you can write the process, but you cannot write the patent and natural phenomena. It was agreed in 2005, 2006 that we have discovered the gravity by the scientists at, at the European patent. But the pressure has been not to disclose it, and they put all sorts of objections to it, like the peer review to block it. So we said, now the patents are published, we are not contributing anymore. Now everybody has it. We did our job. That's why once the patents were published by European patent and then the world patent, we withdraw subscription, because our aim to share our knowledge was achieved. And they knew that we discovered the gravity in the European patent.
Right, and this is so that nobody else can try to do the same thing but make money on it.
Yeah. And that's how we run the Keshe Foundation. If you can, Rick, put this today's session as one video on the foundation forum. Send it to us as a package. We put it on the foundation server, because we've given you a lot of knowledge, a lot of information internally, and I think this is time to start opening the books. Now we are out of Belgium, we can share more and more with people.
Yeah, we'll put it on as one continuous movie then.
If you send it to us, we put it on our server. Pardon?
It'll be mostly audio anyways. There's not too much video on it as far as...
Do you have an FTP so that we can get the full video uploaded somewhere?
Well,
Yes, if Rick send it to Webmaster on a WeTransfer, we can upload it later on today. And then you can do the subtitling later on.
I'm just wondering, just because it's going to be a pretty big file, you'll probably want to FTP it onto a server somewhere. Just
it's hard. Keshe Foundation has its own server now. We put it on our own. All the things will come under, has come under one. We have one of the most powerful servers now running for the foundation. We bought it. The foundation owns it, and we have full cover on it, so there is no problem. We put it on our own server, and up to about 10,000 people can watch it simultaneously around the world.
So, Rick, do you have access to or information how to get to the webmaster so we can get the FTP credentials?
I've been having a hard time getting through to the webmaster, actually.
If you send it as a file, we transfer to him, then we put it as a link on the forum. Anybody can access it.
So who do I send the file to then? To the
Send it at webmaster@keshefoundation.com.
No, we can't email it though. It's going to be way too big.
Did you say to the webmaster@keshefoundation.com? Is that what you said? Sorry.
Yeah, webmaster@keshefoundation.com. Use WeTransfer.
I tried to do that last time with the last file, and I got no reply back. I sent a couple of times trying to send it through, and so it didn't get...
Send me a link. You've done it, and I'll ask him to. Don't forget, the job of webmaster just finished last Monday, Tuesday. That's why you see a lot of changes on the website, on the forum.
Mr. Keshe, I emailed you 2 weeks ago concerning that I could not post on the forum, and now after that you emailed me that it was fixed, and then the next day I cannot log in anymore. I email you back. I don't know if you got my email. I cannot log in at all.
Yes, your password has been changed. You've been sent a thing. Use the password you've been sent and change it afterwards. The webmaster sent you, because I monitored your email and I spoke to him about it. He has sent you an email with a new password. That's why you can't access it.
I didn't get his email. Can you ask him to email me back, please?
You could always go on there and click on "Forgot my password."
Send you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Keshe. Because I post things on my website. Everything that you do, I post on my website, especially the everything about your world 3D, everything. And right away when I put an article, it's picked up by Google News. And I think that it's important what you're doing, that I want everybody to know, you know.
Something which you might know if you are setting these links. Do you know the World Peace Treaty Conference, which is held in Italy on next Sunday, not this Sunday, the next Sunday, 21st, is available for streaming. So if anybody wants to show it anywhere,
I want
you can. Yeah, send me an email. I pass it on to the webmaster. He will give you a code to access to it. You can't give it to anybody else, but then you can live show it.
I have already made my article on that, and that's what I'm going to ask you, if you can have a live feed, because I think it's very of importance what you're doing.
Perfect.
So if you send me the link, now that we have our own server, we can do a lot of things, and this is one of it.
Okay.
So the whole presentation, the first speaker is a member of Parliament of Italy to open the session, and then after that, I'll give a small talk. That's just to be there. We announced it very late because a lot of people wanted to do it, and then they caused us a lot of unnecessary problems. So we decided in the foundation we're going to do it ourselves. So we set the venue. We don't expect many people because it's just been put up last week. We should have announced this months ago or 2 months ago. So at least the thing is that we reckon there are at least about quite a number, 40, 50 locations around the world who people are doing the small conferences or whatever, so they can directly do a streamline.
Okay, perfect. I will email you right after the call, so you have everything.
Yeah, I forward it to the webmaster and ask him to give you your new password as well again.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Keshe.
There is no problem with your link because he checked it. It's just that your when we changed the servers, we had to change a lot of things. A lot of people lost their password because there was a lot of problem with the old links. So there is nothing wrong with your link. I know that personally.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Keshe.
Okay. Shall we call it a day? It's nearly
Yes.
2.5 hours.
Lots of information.
Thank you
Thank
very
you so
much, Mr. Keshe, again for your time.
Very much. Rick, try to go one step further with your system, the same with Ludmil. You're in the right
Yeah,
path.
thank you.
Now you have to go to the next step past, try to get inside the system, inside the
Yeah.
plasma.
Yeah, so you realize we're at sort of a doorway here, or a wall, depending on how you look at it. A wall with a doorway, perhaps.
Yeah. I see you're getting there. I see you getting there. You know, Ludmil is not very far either, but maybe if we can find another session in a month or so, then maybe I invite you for the first time into the lab.
Oh, that'd be lovely.
Yeah.
Be
Nobody
another
has seen
session,
that.
I
We
guess.
have to feel correct and safe before we do it, but
Okay.
it's time to open the doors slightly. But maybe in July we allow people to come in live into the lab around the world.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
that's fantastic.
That'd be great.
For me, won't be another session. I will see you in May. I am leaving
Have
next
next
week
session.
to Bulgaria.
Oh yeah, I'm there on the 3rd, on the 4th. But
Yeah, so I will see you there. I will be there.
thank you very much. But if you want to set up another person who's running a reactor, advertising on the forum, set up a session for May. We have another session in May.
And that would be after the Bulgaria thing, or
Yes, after the Bulgarian, yes.
maybe a month and a half or something, or a month and a
About 10th, 12th of May is good if you want to organize it. It's 10th
Okay.
of May is a Friday. So 14th of May, 15th of May is a good time.
I see.
Okay?
Yes.
Well, probably there will be some Bulgarian guys there on the session. I know they're working pretty hard, so
I think there are a few,
probably they will run a reactor by the time.
I think we will have a few people who have prototyped already in Bulgaria. They'll be there. I know they'll be there. There are a lot of people who are building reactors, testing, but they are too shy to come to the front. Two reactors are already producing energy, we know.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah, 2 reactors are producing energy and substantial amount of energy.
Right on.
So it's the same. They are in different layers because they understand the structure differently. So we call good night, good morning, wherever you are. We'll talk next month.
Okay, thank you very much for everything, and
You're welcome.
see you in Bulgaria
See
again.
you. Thanks. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Yeah,
Have a good day,
thanks,
Mr.
bye.
Keshe. Bye-bye.
Yeah,
See you.
nice day, bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Thank you very much, Ludmil and Rick.
Bye.